Samuel says in the Bible, Netzach Israel lo yishaker. The eternity of Israel will not falter.
It is the same Bible that tells us in the stories of the Old Testament, much which has guided many people across this world. But when we turn from the Old Testament to the New Testament, it is Romans that says to us, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord.
As I woke up this morning to what seemed to be America being drawn into another war because of what is going on between Pakistan and Israel, and the reality that, look, we could be close to World War III with so many wars going on at the same time, I could not help myself but to think, how will history remember us in the Caribbean? How will history remember us because of our relationship with Israel, because of our relationship with Benjamin Netanyahu? Benjamin Netanyahu seemed to be like in the midst of every war that we have seen in my lifetime. We go back to what happened in Iraq, and Benjamin Netanyahu seemed to be the architect of what went down in Iraq. And a lot of Americans seem to believe that Benjamin Netanyahu, without his input, that the Iraq war would not have happened. Fast forward, 2025, we're seeing two wars going on now with the same Israel Prime Minister at the forefront of these two wars. And I could not help but think, how will history remember us in the Caribbean for what is going on now between Israel and between Iran, between Israel and the Palestinians? And I know that there are people looking on and said, look, the Caribbean region is too small and we cannot have any impact on the world stage, and history will not remember us for anything. But the reality is, when you look in the past at some of the things that, because of the stance that the Caribbean took, when you look at the apartheid government in South Africa, and because of the stance that the Jamaican government took back in the days, because of the stand that was taken by the Barbados government and Trinidad and Tobago and Cuba, that we made a difference. Like these, like Trinidad, Jamaica, Barbados, Cuba, were some of the first set of countries that decided that they're not going to trade with an apartheid government. And because of that, even when Nelson Mandela was freed, Nelson Mandela chose to come to the Caribbean first. Nelson Mandela went to Cuba. Nelson Mandela went to Jamaica as some of the first stop that he made. So we definitely have impact on history, and history will remember us whether favorably or unfavorably based on the stance that we took. And you look at places like what happened in Angola and the contribution of Jamaica, Barbados, and Cuba to what went on in Angola. And Jamaica is remembered favorably for that. Barbados is remembered favorably for the stance that we took in Angola. You look at what happened in Zimbabwe and the historic concert that Bob Marley had in Zimbabwe, and just the way how Africans look at Jamaica as a small island, that the impact in terms of Africa and the freedom, the liberation movement. History remember Jamaica favorably because of those moves. So I could not help but think, how will history remember the relationship now that we have with Israel and with the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, in 2025. And it is so crazy because a few years ago, well, it's a while ago, that we saw the Prime Minister of Jamaica and the stance that he took with the Prime Minister of Israel. And we saw some of the backlash that he received from standing with Israel in that way, as one of the only Caribbean islands to pretty much stand with Israel.
Prime Minister Andrew Holmes, welcome to Jerusalem. It's good to see you and your delegation. I think this is the first visit ever by a Prime Minister of Jamaica to Israel, so it has a double significance for us. Our relations are always friendly. We appreciate the fact that you didn't join the recent vote against Israel, absurd vote in UNESCO, but quite beyond that, we're talking about extending our cooperation. We just did for just a brief few minutes that we spoke. I could see all the potential for cooperation in a variety of fields that relate to economy, to security, to technology, and this is something that we eagerly are interested in doing with you. There is a natural affinity between us. We're both democracies. We each have our own challenges, but we flourish under challenge, and we'll be able to, I think, to provide a better future for our people if we cooperate. And this visit is a hallmark of cooperation. You also invited me to come to visit you, and I intend to do that in the sometime in the future. But I want to tell you how much we appreciate the fact that you're here, and I look forward to our discussions. So, welcome, Prime Minister, to Jerusalem.
Prime Minister, thanks for inviting us to Israel. We're very pleased to be here. Jamaica, like Israel, is a strong democracy. And we have long admired the advances that Israel has made in technology, in particular cybersecurity, and in agriculture, and in other areas. And the potential for cooperation between our two countries is great. And Jamaica is very interested in exploring those areas of cooperation. The Jamaican people and the Caribbean region is a zone of peace, and we wish peace for all the peoples of the world. And we do extend our sympathies to the people of Israel for the very unfortunate attack on your soldiers recently. We would want to also pursue with Israel economic cooperation. And I believe in building strong economies, we can build a peaceful world.
Well, we fully agree, and we shall continue this discussion upstairs. Thank you.
And we saw in more recent time, roughly 10 months ago, when the Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley, when she was at the United Nations Assembly and she sparred with the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, and we saw that viral moment when the Prime Minister of Israel and the delegation of Israel, they walked out of the UN Assembly because of what she said.
For war, because we as human beings learnt better and know better and committed to better. A two-state solution, no matter how elusive it may appear to be now, is the only answer. And I've said already this week that we have known difficult battles in mankind's history. But when we were in it, we didn't think we could achieve it, but we did. We abolished slavery. We removed apartheid in South Africa. These battles are not beyond our creativity, our capacity, and our resilience to resolve them. To know clearly what is happening in Lebanon as we speak with Israel, all of these are but the tip of an iceberg of death, violence, and instability, and robs the global community of oxygen and resources at the very time when we need it most in a strategic way. We all know, as students of history, that even the longest war in history came to an end. These wars, yes, they too will come to an end. But the question is when and at what cost, and without much loss of life, with how many children not being able to be either given the chance to live or will now live with memories of war that will affect their every action for the next 60, 70, 80 years of their lives. Innocent people are paying the price with the one thing that is theirs to give, and they don't give it willingly. It is their life. Unless we address the root causes of these wars, one by one, and the manners in which they are being sustained and financed, we will never know anything else other than war and rumors of war in these theaters. The transmittal of these scenes of horror in real time into people's bedrooms, into people's living rooms, will trigger two extreme reactions, neither of which are acceptable to us in the third decade of the 21st century. We will either get the desensitizing of ordinary people to the loss of lives, especially those of innocent children and women on the one hand, or we will get, on the other hand, the anger and inclination for vengeance that it spawns necessarily. We need peace. And it cannot be too difficult for us to work for peace. It is the same Bible that tells us in the stories of the Old Testament, much which has guided many people across this world. But when we turn from the Old Testament to the New Testament, it is Romans that says to us, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, not any country, not any human being. So that the Bible can't be used as a convenient aid when it suits us and rejected when it doesn't. In the midst of this maelstrom, we were very clear. My country took the step this year of recognizing and establishing diplomatic relations with the state of Palestine, in spite of having supported a two-state solution since 1969.
Yes, so as I say, I can't help myself to wonder what is history, how is history going to look at us in the Caribbean, depending on the stand that we take today in terms of this war going on. Is this like a justifiable war? The stance that we take is going to be very, very important, because we have seen in recent time the Prime Minister of Israel have been losing a lot of grounds in terms of favorability. We see in South Africa, the South African government took Israel, took the Prime Minister to the International Court in terms of crime of humanity, or war crimes. And so it is going to be very important. And we see a lot of world leaders now standing up and saying what is going on is not good, and it doesn't look good on the world stage, especially what went on between Israel and Palestine. So, as I said, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how history is going to judge us in the Caribbean. But guys, sound off in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on this topic. Do you think that Caribbean leaders should come out publicly and to voice their opinion on this war going on, whether they are for it or against it? Let me know in the comment section. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content. And remember, peace. I'm out.